Lily Thompson sat hunched low in her auditorium seat, hoodie wrapped tightly around her. Her heart pounded with the specific kind of middle, school dread that came whenever her entire social life was on the line. Career day at Baton Rouge Middle School was usually a non-threatening event. Firefighters, nurses, and sometimes even a flight attendant. Today, the last guest was announced over the speakers. Please welcome our special guest, Mr. Bill Gates. The school auditorium erupted. Phones clacked open. Kids shouted in excitement. Some simply stared blankly, mouths wide open. But Lily was swallowed under her seat. Bill Gates was not only a global figure, but also her uncle. Lily didn't feel cool or proud about her famous relative. Instead, she felt terrified. Her classmates had made her life a never-ending nightmare. They mocked her uncle's voice interviews, and even things like his Bill-isms that had become schoolyard jokes. She was called Micro Girl or Windows Jr. Depending on the day, "Your uncle's here?" Low Caleb whispered, his eyes wide. Lily stifled a yawn. She had only mentioned Uncle Bill might visit town. She thought it meant dinner. Or perhaps dinner and a movie. No, definitely not this. Bill Gates took the stage in his usual sweater and jeans combo, smiling behind his glasses. To everyone else, he looked like a billionaire, but to Lily, he looked like a walking disaster. "Thanks for having me," he said, voice casual and kind. "Glad you could come. My niece goes here too." Lily stumbled deeper into her seat. Heads turned. Every ounce of disapproval was trying to break through. But then something happened. The room actually listened. He spoke about being a terrible roommate, of how he once blew up a circuit in his dorm, of how he failed to convince people about the importance of software. Lily stared at him, not daring to move. "Why do you do this?" she whispered. "Why me?" "It's not fun," he said, "but it's a setup. A way to help people." Lily's eyes widened again. "But why do you do this?" "Because I love you, Lily, and I know you have a heart of gold." Lily's eyes welled up. "Thank you. But don't do this again," he whispered. "We have to be careful, okay?" Lily nodded. "We'll always be there for each other." And that night, Lily couldn't sleep. Hours later, she climbed down. Light spilled through the guest room door. Something had changed. Inside her. That night, Lily barely slept. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw the auditorium erupting in laughter, Derek grinning for the cameras, and her uncle, Bill Gates, standing awkwardly on stage, humiliated. It looped in her head like a nightmare she couldn't shake. Just past midnight, she crept downstairs for a glass of water. That's when she heard it, faint and melodic from the end of the hallway. Music? She followed the sound to the guest room, where a soft light spilled from under the door. She hesitated, then knocked. "Come in," her uncle called. Lily pushed the door open and froze. Bill Gates sat cross-legged on the bed, wearing sweatpants and reading glasses, plucking a banjo. Sheet music was spread across the comforter. A laptop played a gentle Zydeco rhythm on loop. He glanced up and smiled. "Couldn't sleep either, huh?" She blinked. "You play banjo?" He grinned. "Badly, but not as badly as I thought. Turns out muscle memory's real. I thought you were going to, like, give a speech or something." "Nah, too boring." "Besides," he said, running his fingers across the strings, "this one's personal." Lily stepped in, eyes scanning the room. There were old photos next to the lamp, one of a teenage. Bill standing next to an elderly woman, holding a banjo. "Who's that?" He followed her gaze. "That's Miss Clara, my neighbor back in Seattle when I was a kid. She taught me how to play, said music connects people faster than computers ever could." Lily sat down slowly in the desk chair. "She said one day I'd use music for something real." He added, then chuckled softly. "Didn't expect that to be a middle school talent show." Lily crossed her arms. "You're going to get mocked. Derek's cousin is bringing a news crew." "I know," Bill said calmly. "He's trying to set me up to fail. So why do it?" He strummed a low note. "Because I want to show you something. And maybe remind myself of it too." "What?" "That fear of looking foolish is just fear of being seen. Most people hide their weirdness, their talent, their heart. But if Miss Clara hadn't given me this banjo, I might have never found mine." Lily was quiet for a moment. "Still, there's only 3 days left." Bill nodded. "That's why I need help." She raised an eyebrow. "From me?" "You know what kids like. What'll land, what won't? You've been to these talent shows. Lily exhaled. Fine, but I'm telling you right now, if this becomes a meme. He held up a hand. Deal, no memes. Just music. The next morning, Lily walked into the kitchen to find her uncle already practicing, banjo in hand, foot tapping to a metronome on his phone. Her mom raised an eyebrow from behind her coffee. What's the plan, Bill? He looked up, face lit with mischief. Surprise. 2 days before the talent show, Baton Rouge Middle School was buzzing with anticipation. Students whispered about a venue change and a local TV station planning live streaming. Lily Thompson, however, saw it as impending doom. The guest room had transformed, with handwritten signs saying, "Practice in progress, trespassers. Will be force-fed tech lectures." Within the room, Bill Gates was adjusting his posture on the dresser, plucking a banjo and humming to accompany a Zydeco song. Lily knocked and he welcomed her with a warm smile. "Welcome," he said, adjusting his posture further for her. "This is different. The audience will be less polite." Lily shrugged. "But it's different for you. You'll be underestimate." He set the banjo down and leaned against the dresser. "Well, that's fair," he said with a smile. Lily entered, and he asked her to move around more and listen to the audience's energy. He played a Cajun tune called Jolie Blonde and another original piece, Bayou Dreams, that he had written at 14, emotionally and nostalgically. When he finished, Lily sat quietly. "That wasn't bad," she admitted. "But you need to move yourself more. Kids expect energy." Bill nodded. "And I do too. I can see it in your eyes." At that moment, Lily's phone buzzed with a text from Caleb. The event had grown. It was too much. They went inside, adjusting everything while sharing stories, mostly about his mentor, Miss Clara. Bill played 2 folk songs, one he had written and one by Min, played her violin case like an extension of her body. When they finished, they looked at each other. All they could hear was the sound of the instruments and the gentle breathing and adjustments. It felt like they were having an intimate moment in the middle of a bustling world. Before they finished, Bill's voice wavered. "You know," he said, "I've never been more nervous in years. You understand that, right? Senate hearings? Sure, billion-dollar negotiations? Hell yeah, but this, middle school. This is terrifying." Lily smiled, but not mockingly. "You're doing it just the same," she said admiringly. "That's what true courage is." The day before the talent show, the entire city of Baton Rouge seemed to know one thing. Bill Gates was about to perform on a middle school stage with a banjo. The community center had become a hive of controlled chaos. 1,000 seats had been set up. Local news vans lined the curb. Students whispered that WBRZ and even a national outlet were covering the event. A hashtag #GatesGoesLive was trending, but backstage, 12-year-old Lily Thompson was spiraling. She paced the narrow hallway in her jeans and hoodie, sneakers squeaking on the polished tile. Her stomach twisted with every new rumor. One kid said a senator might show up. Another said someone from Microsoft's PR team had flown in. She glanced at her phone. No new messages. Uncle Bill was late. Principal Ghidra approached, clipboard in hand. "Is he coming, Lily?" she asked, her voice tight. "We can't hold the show forever." Lily nodded. "He'll make it." Just then the side door opened with a creak, and there he was, Bill Gates, slightly winded, banjo case slung over one shoulder, his sweater rumpled and glasses a little crooked. But he was smiling. "Sorry for the drama, y'all," he said, voice even. Senate call ran long. "Something about budget nonsense." Relief flooded Lily's chest. He was here. He was really doing this. Bill emerged from the dressing area, violin case in hand. She gave Bill a nod. "You made it." "Wouldn't miss it for the world," he said, following them inside. The dressing room was tiny but quiet, lit by a single flickering lamp and the soft hum of the crowd beyond the wall. Min opened her laptop, did a final check on the backing track, and plugged in a small speaker. "How's your voice holding up?" she asked. Bill sipped from a thermos filled with lemon and honey. "Hanging on. Not quite Carnegie Hall, but it'll do." His hands trembled slightly as he opened the banjo case. "You're nervous?" Lily asked, surprised. He laughed under his breath. "Absolutely. Talking to the president, I can do that in my sleep. But middle schoolers? They're the real critics." He pulled out the now familiar photo of himself and Miss Clara, his old music mentor. Lily and Min leaned in. She used to say, Bill began, don't perform to impress people. Perform to connect with them. He looked up. That's the plan. Min adjusted the EQ levels on her laptop. Try not to rush the first chorus, she said. And don't drop your pick again. He gave her a mock salute. Lily, standing at the mirror, watched her uncle practice his smile, something warmer, less polished than his usual media face. For the first time, she saw someone real. Not the billionaire, not the icon. Just a man who once learned a song to feel less alone. The lights dimmed. The chatter faded. Then, with a spotlight warming the wooden stage floor, Bill Gates stepped out, banjo in hand. For a moment, he just stood there, squinting under the lights, adjusting the strap on his shoulder. The auditorium, packed with more than 1,000 people, held its breath. Phones hovered in the air. The red glow of a news camera blinked from the back wall. He took a breath and strummed a single clean note. The sound echoed, bright, unexpected, and intimate. Then he began to play Jambalaya. Not a speech, not a joke. Cajun folk classic. His fingers moved slower than a professional's, but they were steady. His voice, gravelly but warm, rose into the silence. The banjo rang out with a twang that didn't feel out of place. It felt honest, real. At first, the crowd sat stunned, whispers, raised eyebrows. A few nervous giggles, but then it shifted. People began tapping their feet. Heads bobbed. Some students leaned in. A teacher near the front clapped softly to the rhythm. The music filled the room, not polished, not perfect, but alive. And in the middle row, Derek LeBlanc's smirk faded. As the last chord rang out, a pause hung in the air. Then applause. A roar that rolled through the auditorium and lifted the rafters. Bill gave a small bow, then adjusted the mic. This next one, he said, voice soft, is an original. I wrote it when I was 14. It's called Bayou Dreams. It's about holding on to who you are, even when the world tells you to forget it. He began again, this time slower, simpler. The lyrics spoke of loss and rivers, of growing up quiet and finding your voice in strange places. The chorus rose gently. Keep your heart open. Let the river flow. Don't fear the current, it's the only way home. Lily sat in the front row, Min beside her. They didn't speak. They didn't move. They just listened, wide-eyed and completely still. And when it ended, the crowd stood up. A full standing ovation. Students, parents, teachers. Even Principal Ghidra wiped at her glasses. Lily clapped until her hands ached. Bill looked out across the audience and locked eyes with her. He didn't smile. He didn't wave. He just nodded. Thank you. Backstage was chaos. Students flooded the wings. Staff scrambled to clear the stage. Lily and Min pushed through the crowd to find Bill in the dressing room. Banjo case open, the old photo of Miss Clara resting beside it. You were incredible, Lily burst out. Been greened? You didn't miss a single beat? My dad would have been proud. Bill tucked the photo back into his coat pocket. Clara would have said not bad for a boy with soft fingers. Just then, Principal Ghidra burst in. Mr. Gates, Bill, they're chanting your name. They want an encore. Bill looked at Lily. She raised an eyebrow. You up for it? He smiled. Only if y'all come with me. Min's eyes widened. Me? Bill nodded. You've got your violin, don't you? The crowd was still standing when Bill Gates returned to the stage, this time with Min beside him, violin in hand. Lily peeked through the curtain as the spotlight bathed them in gold. The room, once buzzing with curiosity and doubt, now waited with reverent silence. Min lifted her bow. Bill strummed a few gentle notes. Then together they launched into a short, vibrant Cajun instrumental, part folk, part improvised joy. It wasn't flawless, but it was magnetic. Their rhythms danced. Min's violin soared. Bill's banjo kept pace with a surprising lightness, his fingers sure and alive. The crowd clapped in rhythm, a sea of smiling faces, students, parents, even teachers swaying along. Derek, buried somewhere in the middle rows, looked stunned and, maybe for the first time, silent. When the music ended, the standing ovation returned, but this time it felt less like applause for a performance, and more like appreciation for a moment no one expected to matter so much. The next morning, Bill Gates' name trended across the internet, but not for software or philanthropy. Headlines read, Bill Gates stuns school with banjo performance. From Silicon Valley to Zydeco, a new side of Gates. Banjo Gates viral for all the right reasons. Lily's phone was flooded with messages, even one from Derek. Your uncle's legit. Sorry I was a jerk. At the kitchen table, Bill sipped his coffee, unfazed. Fame, he said, is a spark. But connection, that's fire. That lasts. Then, from an envelope in his bag, he pulled a document and slid it across to Lily and Min. The Miss Clara Music Fellowship, it read. Recipient Min Liang. It would fund Min's private lessons and offer a full college. Scholarship, the first step in a broader program to support youth music education in rural and underserved communities. Min's eyes welled. Lily looked at her uncle, speechless. Clara always told me music could lift people, he said. This is how we keep lifting. Later that month, at a Zydeco Town festival not far from Baton Rouge, Lily, Min, and Bill stood beside Miss Clara's family to unveil the foundation's official launch. Local kids performed, the crowd danced, and in the back 2 elderly women whispered, "That's Bill Gates, right?" With a banjo? Lily smiled. The joke was never on them. In the weeks that followed, the Miss Clara Music Foundation expanded. Bill invited Lily and Min to be youth ambassadors, traveling with him to share music, stories, and courage with other kids who never thought they'd be heard. And every now and then, when Lily walked the halls of school, someone would call out, not mockingly but with awe, "Hey, isn't your uncle the one with the banjo?" She'd nod, smile. Yeah, he is. And for once, she was proud to say it.